am Tristan Road Beef Bayless. With me is my compatriot, my better half, Eddie the Juarez Gomez.
I'm Juarez.
Thank you for joining us. We've got an interesting show for you tonight. A whole lot of topics to cover. Many moons have passed since the last cast. That was an unintentional rhyme, but we're rolling with it. So many topics to cover. Several world tours, world finals, Sydney, some 2020 happenings. Gosh, there's a lot of stuff in my brain. It's all it's rolling around like marbles. I'm afraid of losing a few. If they fall out of my ear, are you going to catch them, Eddie?
Ooh, I'm trying to catch them, but they might fall out and break on the ground, and then I'll step on them and break everything. But no, we're good. We have a lot of stuff to cover. We have it's like me and Tristan are trying to bring back water to the village. Just hold on. It's a huge amount. We're balancing it on our heads and in our ears, but we have an exciting show for you tonight. We're really happy to be back. It's been too long, and yeah, there's no excuse. We're busy racing. Let's put it that way.
Life happens. Life happens.
Racing happens. Zenit happens. It's all in the stars.
Zenit is happening right now, and maybe we'll talk about him in a little later because he keeps getting faster, and that's a problem. To me because he's chosen Porsche, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, things are getting strange now. Not in a bad way, but we like strange because it leads to interesting times. So yes, it is the 17th episode of Gran Turisbros podcast, and I am coming to you live from Blue Moon Speedway in the paddock, the secret paddock that's below the paddock that they let the billionaires go. I'm in the trillionaires paddock, and that's private jets taking off. You might hear them every once in a while, but pay them no mind.
I think that last one was Bernie Ecclestone after he got turned away.
Oh, that was Ecclestone, probably. You're right. He's probably going to figure out stuff in Vietnam. He's still running F1, but, Liberty likes to put on a fake show.
Yep, he's the man behind the curtain. He's pulling all the strings.
Yeah. General state of Gran Turismo Sport. It is 2020. Gran Turismo Sport has been out for 3.5 years almost.
Almost.
And
what was it, like November of 17?
Oh, yeah, I forgot you didn't play beta. Sorry.
No, I didn't. I was one of those losers. I was not cool enough.
There's an interesting stat there. I feel like there's more successful people that didn't play the beta. I think Dodge Line played the beta, actually. We'll look into that later.
That might explain why he always has a leg up on everyone.
He's got 4 legs up on everybody. But so Gran Turismo Sport, how do you feel about it? How do I feel about it? How does the general public feel about it? Is it still a game? What is sport? It's 2020 and players are dwindling. We need more people to get online. Stop playing other games. Come on, guys. It's an FIA game. Should be enough.
It's like the game is the window and the sport is the vision.
Yeah, exactly. So player numbers have definitely reduced. Part of that being the new age kind of oldness of the game, to put it one way. It's 3.5 years. Look at League of Legends, still going strong. It's been like 50,000 years it's been out. Mm-hmm. But I think part of it may be that the content, I don't know, everything's been free. There's just not enough single player content, and maybe that's one of the anchors that kept people going for a longer time in GTA 5 and 6. What do you think?
I think it's because it's iterative, because they have to funnel resources, the majority of the resources, to making like a launch title, a title period, a tangible thing that you have to buy. Well, I mean, you could download it, but you know what I mean, like the Blu-ray disc with the little manual inside and like little coupons to redeem. It's like its own event. And it's something that's the PD team always have to be working on. Like, you finish GT5, start working on GT6. Finish GT6, start working on GT7 or GT Sport. I understand GT Sport was like a prologue to kind of fill in the gap between GT6, because GT7 is supposed to be so massive, on the scale of like GTA 5 kind of massive is what I've been hearing from last year. So I think the problem is that it is an iterative title, that they have to release titles in a sequential sort of manner, whereas League of Legends is like just a kind of, and I'm speaking from ignorance because I honestly don't know League of Legends too much, but it seems like it's an evolution of just one title. And the title is out, and they release kind of like seasonal updates, maybe like by like Paths of Exile or Diablo, something like that, where the game itself is sort of just always there, always installed, and all that's changed are predetermined seasonal events, with different items, different game structures, different challenges. And Gran Turismo, although we get different races, they're limited by the content that's in the game, the cars and the tracks, and sort of the game engine itself. So maybe that's the issue, is that it has a freshness that wears off, and it's not until a longer than average point of time that the freshness is sort of renewed with a new iterative launch title. So is that going to be the way of the future? Probably not. I've been hearing that this PS5 and that Xbox One X or whatever it is are going to be the last real consoles that you buy before you're just now streaming gaming live as a sort of subscription service. So maybe this is going to be the last time they have to do this.
Right. That's interesting. I don't know if I hope that's the case or not, but it certainly would be interesting. It would allow for them to proliferate. Well, I was almost going to say proliferate. Oh, hey, they proliferate.
It's an appropriate, mix of letters to get to nearly the correct word. Proliferate, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope for some more proliferation with the PH. When it comes to the next title, they've definitely got a good momentum going with the amount of updates that they did, and we can't blame them for reducing that insane monthly kind of schedule from now on. 3 cars every month, that's cool. Maybe a track here and there, that's awesome. But I feel like people just have a general sense of burnout. One thing that could have come along that I feel would have kind of helped the numbers come back is something like that Toyota Super Cup that interested a lot of people last year that normally would have stayed away from things like Gator Darrell. My friend Darwin, that was a GT Academy competitor in my year. They both had a lot of fun with that. And I feel like we're kind of missing something. I expected something. You never know. It could come back. It could come back in a new form, or something else comes along. That would be great. That's something that could stimulate the player base.
Totally.
I feel. So
totally. I agree.
Things like that.
That was a great way to get people just to pay attention to Toyota, and that's a great way to launch a new product. And maybe other manufacturers could use that as an example. Porsche. So, I'm with you. I totally think that was an awesome thing, and it concluded in Tokyo, and in hindsight, maybe it should have concluded in World Finals in Monaco, so it had a bit more exposure. But it was also, native to Japan, being Toyota, so I kind of understand why they did it in the Toyota Mega Web. But it definitely did attract a lot of attention. I would say almost as much as like the Nations Championship. All the same players were doing that. And once Nations kind of wrapped up by like round 25 or 30 of last year, or, my numbers are wrong, but whatever, like 2/3 the way through the season, those people then focused their attention on the Super Cup. If we don't have something like that this year, maybe they're going to be twiddling their thumbs, and we might get more dropouts, and we don't want that, do we?
Not at all.
And thank you for letting me just ramble on. I tend to do that, but my mind, once it gets started, is like a freight train, and you better not be in the way.
Exactly.
I've got like 4,000 cars behind me.
I'm feeding you coal.
It's going to take me like 17 miles to stop. So, you better just kind of try to jump on instead of stand in the way, because you know what happens between a train and a couch. It's not a pretty picture.
No, the road beef that happens between. It's in the name, okay? But we may as well shift on over. We'll make the announcement here. Dun dun dun. Cue sound effect here, John. We're going to become a GT7 podcast.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, it's going to be so good.
GT7 speculation. What is 7? Is it a prime number? We'll find out later. But for now, all we can tell you for sure is that GT7 will be coming out on the PlayStation 5. Will it be a launch title? It should be.
Should be. It's on the top of Mount Should Be.
The Kims certainly think so. But will it happen? It's going to be a big sigh. Because I'm unsure. And all signs point to a track. Wait, what am I trying to say? A record of it not happening. It was supposed to happen for the, Gran Turismo 2000 was supposed to be a PS2 launch title. Gran Turismo 3 was, PS2, so it was 4. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Then PS3, everyone was like, oh, GT5 should be a PS3 launch title, right? No, it didn't happen. It really didn't happen. It very much didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But Prologue didn't even happen as a launch title either. So what are we kidding ourselves, trying to hope for this, pray for this, bribe for this, or do you think it's just not going to happen? Or
no, I think that because they haven't announced it for sure means it's probably not going to happen, but it's a little too early to say. I, for one, think that it would be wiser for them to wait if it's an unfinished product and release it when they're happy with it. And knowing the perfectionism of Mr. Yamauchi, that's probably going to be what will happen. And I would be satisfied with that. I could wait an extra quarter or two for something he's happy with, because he's delivered very special products. Since the first Gran Turismo, it's like nothing we've ever seen or played before. The kind of thing that really brings like a passion to racing in it's like the game itself is an art form, and that's something that I don't want diluted based on an executive's timetable of a PS5 launch date. I think Sony understand that too. I don't think they've. I mean, I don't have evidence to suggest either way, but I wouldn't think that they would want to penalize their most profitable title and game studio in any sort of way, either by rushing them or by otherwise adding addendums or something like that to a later launch. And
that's true.
I'll be happy with it. It comes out whenever it comes out.
It's a good angle for the Facebook commenters to try to consider, that Sony has been good to the developers, although you may feel like for some reason they owe you a certain car or release date. It's better for them to take their time and release it when it's ready.
Yeah.
And Sony's pretty good at not pushing.
I mean, it's so much goes into this. Think about this. League of Legends can come up with, or Diablo or Paths of Exile can come up with characters and items and challenges and DLC that is entirely or mostly like original things that they can just be like, yep, we just kind of wrote this, conjured it, and a weekend long 24/7 caffeine-fueled binge with all the developers just writing down on a whiteboard all these ideas we came up with, and then we just made it into the game, right? But with Gran Turismo, everything is licensed. We've got all these manufacturers who want a slice of the pie, either one way or the other, of varying slice sizes, and these take negotiations, right? And to try and juggle those with a relatively solid release date or timetable of these things being released is, I gotta imagine, an extreme challenge. So
definitely,
I think PD know that everyone wants all of their dream cars in the game, and if all things being equal, they had the opportunity, I bet every car that's ever existed would be in this game. We know that that's kind of like an ambition, because in earlier Gran Turismos we had like the very first Mercedes Daimler thing from the 19th century, all the way up through cars to today of every variety. So why wouldn't that be their goal? What are the obstacles? It's licensing. They can't just, make up brand new cars. This, no offense to Ridge Racer, but this is not Ridge Racer. So, I think patience, empathy, understanding in that process is important. And if people can spare a little for polyphony, I think it would go a long way. Yeah,
definitely. Hope for the best, but I hope most of all that it comes out in a good kind of state. The first 1.0 should be pretty wide ranging. It should have a lot of content and all that. So let's not skim that down just for the sake of a pretty launch title release date. But there is there haven't been any announcements yet. The 2020 World rumors, schedule is on hold as well, as far as where exactly they're going to be going. So
we know Nürburgring for certain. Nürburgring in the end of May at like the Sim Racing Expo is going to be World Tour number 2. Beyond that, we aren't sure yet. We only know that the windows of time during the year are going to be relatively the same as last year.
And a lot of stuff could change, and you never know at which event they might make an announcement and all of that. And you never know with the coronavirus how things may be affected as well.
That's pretty sketchy.
It's something that everyone's talking about, as far like all the competitors and speculators as well on the outside looking in. They're like, you guys must be, putting this into thought. And it's like, yeah, of course, everyone is all over the world that's doing anything internationally oriented. So, damn. Mm-hmm. It's a big wrench that's been thrown our way at the start of this decade. I mean, everyone is on their toes. So,
definitely, yeah, a lot of question marks, but also a lot of, how would you call it? It's almost like it's one of those big fireworks that you buy for the neighborhood that you put in the center of the cul-de-sac, and it's just like gigantic, and you light it, and this little sparkler fuse goes off, but then it disappears, and there's that sort of moment where you're waiting to see if something's actually going to go off, and then it just goes off spectacularly, firing in every direction. Just the most fantastic thing you've ever seen. So we're in that little waiting period where the fuse has already been lit, and it's like, all right, looking at the watch, come on, guys, what's going on? We're expecting big things. We know big things are going to happen. So, but I don't want to sound impatient. I'm more excited.
Me too. Oh man, me too. It's gonna be great, no matter what. It's such a Christmassy feeling time. The year leading up to a new GT5, or maybe it's gonna be 2021. Who knows? But the lead up is always fun. So I appreciate that you get to be with me in that journey, brother.
Oh, totally, my dude,
and all of you brothers out there as well. There's going to be a lot of speculation going on, so don't get mad at us, and also don't think that we have a lot of answers because we've been to, events and stuff.
Or do get mad. I can handle it. That's okay. I'm in the kitchen because I can take the heat.
If you want to fight us, make a podcast, and we'll do a podcast versus podcast 1-on-1, bro.
All right.
We'll see who comes out on top.
Digital fisticuffs.
But yeah, so now we can move on to good old FIA.
The races themselves.
Yes.
So you've participated in a bit of the off-season, haven't you?
Yeah, preseason.
Saw you on there a few times.
Exhibition, kind of, once or twice.
How have you found it? What's your opinion?
What's wild, the 7-minute qualifying is, it makes it a little more straightforward, but there's definitely more groups of people together. The slipstream stuff that kind of pissed me off last season is back in a much bigger and more it's less so buddy and clicky now. Like you need to have someone out there that's towing, breaking the air for you and vice versa. And so there's an element of luck that goes into the grids now, and you just see like people all over the place that you're like, what? He got the pull, or what? He's last place now? It's like, whoa. It is so... It's a lottery, man. That's what FIA's turned into this year. It's just dice roll.
It is, yeah. It totally is. And I'm not sure if there's a motive behind this because it's so kind of obviously discombobulated and clicky, as you say, and there's still too much emphasis on fuel burning and getting the slipstream. The slipstream, the consensus is that it's just too strong. When you're a second and a half back and you're getting like some slip while going 120 miles an hour, it's like, I guess it's mathematically somewhat true to real life, but like at a very small percentage. If even that, you're going to be getting like turbulent air. So if slip is going to be working that far back, like, I don't know, the game engine is probably the limiting factor. There's only so much realism that you can code in a game 3 years ago with a system that was compiled 10 years ago, the PS4 I'm talking about, to accurately recreate this kind of stuff, like the spinning wake of air coming off a car. I think is not actually modeled. I think it's just a prescribed distance behind the car, as almost like a rectangular kind of cube, invisible, that follows behind the car at a certain distance based on its speed, is kind of the draft / wake creator. And if you're within that square, you're going to get the benefit and the wake. And I think that it's just a value that they can adjust whenever they release a game update. And right now, the adjustment seems to be just a little too far back, where we have all these races where fuel saving is so important, and so the leader is not really leading. They're the one who's punching the hole through the air and using up too much fuel, and everyone else is going to benefit from it and just try to, shove them aside on the last lap or two and take the win because they've been able to save so much more fuel. I guess that's realistic to a point, but it's maybe the scale pushed too far in one direction.
We're all so mad because of this.
We are up in arms.
We know that
I almost started a petition with the White House about this.
I know this is FIA is a French organization, but this isn't the Tour de freaking FIA, guys. This isn't like Lance Armstrong coming down Mont Blanc or whatever, like using all his teammates to gain over, Spricken that's racing down behind him. Like, we shouldn't have this going on at this stage of Gran Turismo. When a GT Sport released, it was fine. Mm-hmm. And then over time, they just kept cranking. It was like somebody that just came into your house and just started touching the AC, cranking it 1 degree, 2 degrees, just every once in a while. And you're just like, it's so cold in here.
Right. Yeah, they turn the freezer temperature up too high. Everything melts. They leave the fan on in the bathroom. They're using too much electricity.
There's bubble gum everywhere. It's just terrible. Yeah, man. What have they done to our boy? It was so nice before. We didn't know how good we had it. So in GT5, it was a big issue. So it was such an issue. I'm going to tell you a little story. We had league events in GT5. Not a lot of people knew this, but we used to run our own leagues. Yes, it happened. And they were pretty fun, except for one problem: the draft and qualifying. Every time we tried to do group qualifying, everyone would draft off of each other, and we were pissed off. We were like, oh, that guy got pulled because he got lucky with the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Let's solve that issue. So what we did was we made everyone do individual qualifying laps, one shot. So you would go, someone would sit in the lobby, we'd do it one at a time. We seriously did this throughout the whole week leading up to a race. And that way, a person did their lap, they were on the track by themselves, and we were able to get a great gauge of how everyone could do. There's a lot of pressure because of the one-shot nature of it, but we liked it. That's how we used to race back in the day, and we liked it. But now, it's I'm just surprised because it wasn't an issue until now, so I don't really understand why it kind of reared its ugly head again.
Yeah. I think that it's maybe because people are really attuned to the strategies now, and there's much less variation in strategy in the nations and manu races. It's like these guys are now so good at figuring out exactly when to pit and exactly how hard to push the tires, exactly when to shift to save the right amount of fuel to get the absolute fastest race total time. And since that knowledge is now so routinely common among, the first, second, third split driver races, there's just no variation. And so where does the emphasis go? It goes on qualifying. And desperation is the word I'd use when I think of how qualifying feels now. It's like even when you try to team up with someone, you still are feeling just like the race is not the race itself. The race is in qualifying, because running a reverse strategy it just doesn't work anymore. People are too fast. I think that the bar has been set pretty high starting this year, and certainly no one has really slowed down. So if you're looking at 2020 as a competitor, maybe like Tart Butter, who shows up every once in a while and is always crazy fast and maybe for one reason or another decided not to do sport mode in earnest in an entire season, well, maybe you should look at it now, because if you feel like what you were missing before was competition, I think that you're going to find it nearing its zenith this year in this game.
We just called you out, Tart Butter. How you going to act, you little melty piece of dairy?
That guy's really fast. He's crazy fast when he shows up. He's just like, yep, just going to qualify and pole and win. All right, peace out, guys. See you in a month.
Yeah. Scary name to show up on the grid.
Yes.
But, yeah, it's in Europe, it's crazy. People are all, like, waiting for and qualifying. They're all... It's like if any of you are out there are Formula One fans, there was a big debacle in 2019 in Monza, where all the top 10 Q3 top 10 all the cars were trying to like get a draft off of the others. No one wanted to be first, so everyone bunched up, and only a couple guys had the wits about them to take off, and everyone else didn't cross the line in time. So like I think like 7 cars had DNQs or something, or they just didn't set any further times. So.
Yep.
So that kind of thing's happening in these qualifying sessions, and people are like, "Oh, you go first." No, you go first. It's like ridiculous. It's not qualifying. It's
an embarrassment. It's really an embarrassment.
It's not entertaining. More than anything, who wants to watch that? Who wants to participate in that?
It's frustrating. And so, like a one lap shot, maybe with everyone on track but ghosted, or maybe you don't see anyone else on track, but you're all doing it at the same time, and you have like a live leaderboard. So you still know when you're getting a purple sector. That would be a possible solution.
All great solutions that I feel they should look at, and I hope that they are.
Yeah.
This is us shouting from the rooftops. Please fix it.
Oh, I have a whistle in my... Oh, no, it's in my car. I have a Porsche Motorsport whistle. It's a...
Really?
It's very, very German. I would have used that.
That is the most Tristan thing you said all month.
Good.
I love it. All right. But, yeah, flicks the slipstream. Moving on.
Yep.
Competition has ramped up, in your estimation. Would I be correct in assuming that?
In what sense? How do you mean?
People have been faster, putting more time in.
Yes.
Those that have stuck around, even some new names.
It's the guys that were practicing for 6 hours on average, or 3 hours, or 9 hours, like Diddyco, the monster, last year, have not stopped practicing quite that much, for the most part. So they're only getting better, and honestly, it is a little worrying. For the more average and casual of GT Sport players, even though we're all serious, there are like the casual sort of categories. Figuring out strategies is tough, and they're so optimized now that what I resort to is begging someone for the strategy when I show up the day of the race, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours before, to get some practice when I am able to. And I have to give credit to the GT Sport community, because for the most part, they have provided that assistance. I think they invite the competition and want to provide a leg up so that they have a challenge. And certainly in the top split rooms, the more high driver ranking people you have in that room that are competitive, the better the total points available. So it kind of serves to everyone's benefit that everyone's sort of up to speed. It's interesting how that's kind of become the norm. And I am personally grateful, because I am one of those people who needs it. But if I'm going to mount a serious challenge in the official season, I'm going to have to figure out myself, and hope that maybe there's going to be that odd race where maybe the reverse strategy, or the odd strategy, or the no-stop strategy, maybe something like that will work out. But usually that depends on the chaos of the chance of chaos among others. And honestly, that's becoming rarer these days. It's not common for pile-ups or the quote-unquote big one to happen. These guys have their act together pretty well. So it's going to be formidable and a huge mountain to traverse and climb and ascend and reach the peak of. every race is going to be like, oh geez, I use metaphors too much. Let me just say it's going to be tough.
It's going to be like trying to get a pig out of a supermarket at 5 a.m. in Alabama. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. And there's a lot. I mean, I thought the variety of viable strategies, I guess. Would you say that you're saying that's narrowed now, right?
It's narrowed, and on the races with really high tire wear, sometimes a 2-stop is better than a 1-stop, or a 3-stop is better than a 2-stop, but only slightly so. You're not really trading total times, you're trading more so track position, and so you'd use one strategy over the other depending on your starting position and kind of where everyone else is. Like a recent race at Interlagos was kind of like that. There's just less deviation. There's less adventurism in strategies, and I think that comes down to the race format. If we had longer races, we'd have 5 stops or 3 stops or 1 stop, and you'd have cars all over the place. You maybe even have cars that are getting lapped, but then win the race. But that's just not happening yet. I think that's probably something that's on the plate for the future. I've heard that, longer races are a thing that PD are looking at, but we'll have to see what announcements are for the official season. I wouldn't be surprised if that waits until GT7, because we're probably cornered by the architecture of the game at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. I feel that they have a big opportunity to change things around for 7 as far as race structure. I hope that they do an actual enduros of at least an hour, and then multiple heat events, maybe 15-minute races, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That'd get me jumping around and excited to race. But yeah, what I've gathered from the races that I've done, it is difficult for someone that kind of came from having done. I just, I did most of my time in the previous season. And then once that was done, I took a little break. Coming back into it and seeing what everyone's doing now, it's like, wow. Yeah, a lot of saving. It's like emulating Formula One, Formula One's Pirelli era, in a few ways.
Like, you mean like 2012 when they were really, really high degradation?
Yeah, I think they had higher degradation in sport FIA races last season, right? Yeah, or the final kind of stage of FIA or manufacturers.
They've been switching it up. The one season, 10 rounds will be more tire oriented, the next 10 will be more fuel oriented.
Yeah, and that's good. As long as they get the track selection right. Just to quickly touch, I wanted to get your opinion on Laguna Seca and how you like it so far.
So Laguna Seca was released for the World Finals in Monaco, or just before. So that was the first time I got to drive it. Have driven it since then in a few online sport mode events. And I've driven that track in real life, and I have to say the accuracy is exceptional. The sizing, the feeling of the curbs in particular, and like the brrr when you go over them is extremely accurate, and the depth of the sand is also accurate. The general kind of grip level of the circuit is pretty true. All the elevations and bumps are very well represented. The corkscrew in particular, I think, was done very well. And it's kind of funny when you do it in real life. You're not trying to die. You're just trying to get through the corkscrew and not roll the car or lose your lunch. But in Gran Turismo, you take more risks, and you've got a Group 3 car on slicks and go through the corkscrew, hit it just right, and you think you're going to be going so fast out the corner, but you get through the little ridge where it dips down and the car actually catches air. All 4 wheels leave the ground. So that's a problem I didn't expect.
It's like that episode. Remember that Top Gear episode with Clarkson, where he played Gran Turismo 2 and then did the real thing.
He did it in like an NSX Type R or something.
Yeah, awesome episode. Definitely check that out. Don't stop this podcast yet. Wait till after.
Yeah.
Are you listening, listener?
Let me Google that for you later.
Google that later, or use Alexa or Siri or whatever. Anyway,
one last thing about Laguna Seca that my wife noticed is that there is a large building missing on the start-finish straight. So its realism is 99%. I'm afraid it's not 100%. You know,
Finder's
PD,
fee.
dropping the ball. You got to get it together.
Kim just got you a bunch of more Puma shoes for finder's fee.
Yeah.
But I just kind of this is something that's been plaguing the recent tracks, in my opinion, is they kind of like they have the Indy curbs, right? The Indy, you know how Indianapolis or the Indy Racing League changed Laguna Seca. That's the version that's in GT Sport, right? The curbs and all that.
Describe to me.
They added the sausage curbing and more runoff and stuff.
Probably. There are sausage curbs. There are definitely sausage curbs. Turn 3, 4, 5, 6. Corkscrew doesn't have sausages. 9 does. 10 does not. 11 does. So, yeah, there are a number of sausages.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm glad I was able to think of that from memory.
That's great, yeah. The inside corner, or the inside curb on going up to Rahal is pretty intense. That'll throw you.
Yeah, that's probably the corner worth the most time if you're able to get turned in just right. Corner. And it's so easy to drop a wheel on the entry and kick it sideways and just fly off track. And that's the sand on the outside of Rahal is not forgiving whatsoever. Nah,
dude, that is a black hole or brown. No, it is a tan hole. I had to yell at the devil on that one.
Yep.
But yeah. So I'm glad that track's in the game. It's fucking amazing. So, but I need to take a little tangent here to talk about the FIA player base, health in general. And I just had some ideas as far as getting more people into FIA while we still have this sort of dry period going on.
Totally.
If you're thinking about it, just go ahead and try it. And although it seems undesirable at the moment, it'll help you become, these moments when the structure isn't the best, that's when drivers grow. If you can throw yourself into the mix and try your best to figure out the current best way to go about racing, or just practicing a lot within these circumstances, it'll help you grow a lot as a driver. And the community is super helpful. I think that's one thing a lot of people are missing, is just lack of communication. The people that you may see big names in your lobbies or whatever, and you may think that they don't want to be bothered, but we all want to make friends, and it's cool to share. That's the best part about this community. It's very tight knit right now. So if you come in, it lights us up. Coming into the lobby, practice lobbies or whatever, ask us questions. Like, we're really hungry to give you all the feedback and strategies and everything that you need to get yourself to that next level. So,
totally. Yep. If Zen had approached me asking for help, I would give it to him.
Oh yeah.
I think he's all right.
Yeah.
Especially because kind of shoving has been becoming a bit of a norm, and I am not innocent. I probably owe apologies more so than I think or can remember. When the circumstances afford him, Zenit is definitely a clean racer, and I think that he does delight in a good battle. But the heat of the moment can get the better of any of us. And, if we can reserve the benefit of the doubt or just a little bit of empathy, it's going to go a long way. And yes, definitely. He, among everyone that we race against, are people who would immediately answer the inquiry of shared knowledge of, like, what's the best strategy, how do I do this, like, how are you going this fast through this corner. That's like the joy of instruction. And if I were to hypothetically instruct someone that got faster than me, like my wife did, I delight in that, because now I have something to learn from them. And, it's the competitor who takes you to victory. So that kind of collaboration will always be found. And I hope that's a comment of encouragement to anyone on the fence about this, because we need more of you. The more competitors, the better.
Yeah, more people, more ideas, more initiative. If anyone out there is thinking about doing their own events, don't feel like there's some fee that you have to pay or any legal obstacles. And there aren't. I mean, there's just a couple things you probably have to follow. I'm not exactly sure, but if we could get more people playing to get these things in real life, if you could have people, if you have a rig and you can invite friends over to try it out and get the bug bite going for them, that's all going to be great too, because a lot of people, it's mystifying, the idea of having a rig even to some people is crazy. And you don't need a rig either if you're just a controller user and having a lot of fun and you have friends over to try that. And there's, plenty of controller pad users. You'd be surprised. I mean, a lot of people may assume that Top Split is full of people with expensive Thrustmaster TGT rigs or whatever, but that's not nearly the case.
Definitely not.
And you'd be so surprised. I wish everyone could stream at the same time just so you could see the insane variety of setups that everyone's rocking,
Yep. Some are effectively janky, and some are
I like that.
are inconspicuously expensive, and neither deliver a definitive advantage.
Exactly.
And tons of controller users who are blazing fast. And I think of note, that's what makes Dodge Lamb so dangerous, is that guy usually uses a controller and then goes to live events and uses a wheel just as effectively. Like, dude, stop blowing my mind, okay? Give me a chance.
It was great seeing that evolution too, because he wasn't so good at the beginning, but man, what a road of development there.
Yeah, he picked it up real quick.
Yeah, but let's talk about your experiences. I'm so excited to get a feel for how you did.
I've been happy and
in World Tours. That was
really
amazing. An amazing run.
Talk about this stuff. So our last Gran Turisbros podcast was the Tokyo preview. The preview to Tokyo, where I was going in the Manufacturers' Cup with two new Porsche teammates, and guess what happened? We won, baby! Ow!
Woo! You guys stuck it on the top step.
Oh yeah, it was the drive of a lifetime.
That was amazing, man. I was so happy to see that. And Kim was there with you, your wife. The loveliness, there to support the good luck charm that pushed you over the line and gave Toyota a hard time.
Mm-hmm. Toyota led every lap except the final lap.
Thanks to Kim and her poison. No, just kidding.
We spiked Yamanaka's coffee with some Epicac, and it did the trick. What can I say?
Yeah. But all kidding aside, man, that was such an amazing broadcast. I was so hyped. It was just a different feeling, All the other World Tours, they were in amazing places, but there was something about everything going down in Tokyo that just gave it the extra kind of moon over the castle type of feel.
Totally. Dude, and the wonderful Japanese audience had, I've been to a lot of, as I'm sure you have been, a lot of concerts, a lot of sports games, baseball, football, a lot of racing events, and a live audience of like thousands make particular sounds for the particular sports at particular times, and it's like this very unique cultural involvement and experience. And this was no different and entirely unique in terms of the noises that the crowd would collectively make at different times in the race. Like when Angel was moving up the field, particularly when he was passing or lining up Randall Haywood in the BMW, like maybe 2 laps from the end. Randall had it was looking like side by side breaking into this one corner at Lago. Randall braked later, kind of chopped the nose, kept the position, but then ran wide, and the crowd was like, oh, and then clap, 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 clap. It was just a sequence of noises I've never heard before.
That's awesome.
That was, it so effectively conveyed their just immediate raw emotion at what they were witnessing, and that was so cool. So cool. Tokyo itself, like this beautiful place, eerily quiet, no power tools, no construction noises, no sirens at any time. exceptionally silent and clean, and with great coffee even in like suburban areas. Went out exploring with Stagger and Gumball a couple mornings along with Kim. Tokyo itself was fantastic, just absolutely fabulous. And following up with Monaco, it's 2019 is just off the charts, dude. Like I can't believe that happened, and I'm sitting here casting about it. Mind blowing.
Oh, it's an amazing privilege, but you earned every step and every event that you got to, and the results that you got there were just an amazing cherry on top. So
Totally.
I'm glad that it worked out well, and you guys had a good time and came back healthy. It's all one can ask for. So, yeah, incredible times, and yeah, it was so great. I was so proud of you for doing your best and getting that Porsche brand up there when everyone thought it would be nowhere after the VOP update that kind of hindered it. So
yeah,
it lost Carrazza, but it gained your perseverance and your no quit attitude, and all the people that were around you. Like, you just kept rallying the South Americans to to do their best, man. That was so cool.
Yeah, I can't say enough about my teammates in Austria, Daniel and Tatsuya, who were fabulous and faultless, and of course Matt, the legend, and Angel, the demon, who on his world tour debut delivered arguably like the greatest drive in the history of world tours. It's
oh my god, yeah, dude.
It's exceptionally humbling, and I maybe use too many superlatives, but sometimes there just aren't enough for describing that sort of experience. And the only thing that topped the world tours was getting married last year. And shout out to the wife who so kindly allowed a deferment of official honeymoon for us to have these kind of world tour mini moons. We took an extra few days in front of Monaco and stayed at an Airbnb in Nice, which was awesome, even with like this random cannon blast at noontime at Nice that we learned the hard way happens at noontime every day, while we were like feet away from it.
Oh my god!
Like, we were walking up some steps, like up like a castle, kind of overlooking Nice, and there's like some waterfalls and cool stuff to look at. So we're just checking it out. All of a sudden, we hear a ka-thunk, ka-gunk, like big metal kind of clanks. Thinking like our immediate thinking, like, oh, did someone just like crash a van into a cemetery? Like, that's what it sounded like. And in the middle of our thought, boom! Huge explosion so close to us that we could see like the orange tinge of the shock front approach and pass over us. But then we looked at the clock and we quickly brought up Wikipedia and we're like, it's not a terrorist attack. It's just lunchtime.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
That was something else. If you don't mind, I wanted just a couple extra cool things from Monaco.
Please.
Got my hand crushed by Lewis Hamilton. Didn't go in for the full handshake like I should have. Kind of went in too slow, didn't get a full collapse, and so he just crushed my fingers together with like a death grip. That guy obviously lifts weights. I should find out what his workout regimen is.
It's all the trophies that he has to carry around.
Yeah, in his backpack or something. And Max Verstappen, got a picture with him, who's a very patient and kind guy who had time for all of us.
I was so happy to hear that too. What a bonus! Like, he just kind of showed up to support TRL. Lightning.
Yep, just out of nowhere.
And he lives there, and he's cool, and he's down, man. Like, he's such an awesome personality in the sport. Like, he's such a dork. He's always doing these iRacing endurance races, and and being a 13-year-old when he's around Lando and stuff. So I was I'm so glad. I was so glad to see that he was there too.
Priceless,
hanging out.
Yeah, his attendance was priceless, and the after party at Monaco was also off the hook. The club they had, of course, our great friend Lenny Ibizarre was there, but the energy was like Tokyo had a great after party, but Monaco was like times 5, and there were no fewer than like a dozen crowd surfing incidents where
Holy shit.
they weren't really incidents. It was like everyone was into it. With Kaz surfed. I think Tom surfed. I'm pretty sure Jimmer surfed. Who both of those guys and the whole crew were amazing throughout all the tours. But also Martin Tidgeny in his full tuxedo surfed and got some epic pictures. It was an amazing time. So then we moved on to Sydney. Sydney was just a couple of weekends ago, my dude. How did it look from your perspective? What did you think?
Oh, Sydney was. It seemed like it was like, they stepped it up. Everything, like I love the production changes and tweaks that they made as far as showing the process of getting into the FIA races. I loved the crowd that was there. The combos seemed to be a little better balanced. And yeah, bringing everyone back over from Monaco was also great. The way they took care of everybody that were guests in an awesome way as they did last year. And yeah, the racing seemed a lot more cordial, hard, definitely fair. And damn, how could you ask for a better finish than the one that happened in Nations? That was incredible. Mm-hmm. What a way to close it. How much drama. The sound of the crowd, like that's one of the biggest highlights that to me of anything that's gone down with Gran Turismo. Like just the reaction of that crowd to realizing that Nick had lost. Like, whoa, yeah. By that much.
There was deflation, but there was still a lot of applause, not only for Cody and for Miyazono, but for what they had just witnessed. It was I think it was either Jordan or Famine, someone who just posted on GT Planet how Sydney has set kind of a new standard. And I totally agree, because they pointed out when that race finished, everyone in the crowd and everyone who was participating kind of realized all at once that they had gotten sucked into a moment. And that moment was created by GT Sport. And in those minutes or hours beforehand, everyone kind of forgot that they were just playing a video game, and its legitimacy was visceral. So that's an important step that's now been taken and is now behind us. Something that GT Sports should be very proud of, because being there, I can tell you that on Saturday, when all of us were finally kind of in the venue, all of our everyone was in their team gear, everyone was in place, the crowd was already like in there. I was observing, because I people watch. I'm a voyeur. Get over it. Every single competitor at least once looked over their shoulder and kind of went like, "Wow, that's a crowd behind us."
Yeah,
this is serious, and that was a really cool feeling. Really cool feeling. So I hope that live audiences continue to be a thing. I have a feeling, at least at the Nürburgring, because that's a very popular expo, that sim racing expo. The Nürburgring naturally attracts, millions of people anyway, because of its notoriety and the tourist laps and stuff. I hope we get something like that again. It's second to none.
I mean, Sydney's amazing, man. Australians are so down for going out and watching sport, and that was part of it as well. So I'm really glad that they decided to go there finally, and I was expecting large things from the crowd and how everyone would be treated, and I wasn't disappointed. So, yeah, good on you guys for holding it down, putting on an awesome show. Manufacturers was also so much fun to watch, even though BMW dominated.
Yeah.
There was so much stuff going on was fighting for second and third. So, but yeah, good. Definitely a super successful kickoff to the year.
Totally. Yeah, BMW crushed it. And you're right. The sportsmanship was of a very high level. And at the first race Group 4 at Spa, when we were all battling, there was very, very, very little contact. Maybe just a little bit from Toyota when they were on 2 compounds softer than everyone else. But I think that was totally forgivable, because it was, like 2.5 seconds a lap in Delta that they had. So to not have the car in front accelerate quite as fast, through, say, X or something, I think is forgivable. And that's really like the worst thing I can think of. And that's right before Toyota made that amazing pass around the outside of Porsche while I happened to be driving. Damn it. So, yeah, totally agree with you. And it was a great example of what we're all capable of as competitors and what the circus of Gran Turismo Sport and its live events are capable of as events themselves, as spectacle. The spectacle was great. It was better than it's ever been.
Yeah, and added bonus, well, because the story was leading up to that World Tour that the champions were not going to be present, namely Mikhail Hazal and Igor. The rest is Frigor.
The Frigor? No. Well, Igor, is a wonderful gentleman. We got to watch Igor clinch the New Zealand Formula 3 championship.
That was amazing.
That might have been what you were segueing into. While we were doing practice, I think for the Pro-Am on Saturday or Sunday. I think it was Sunday. They being the PD team, I don't know who it was, but they threw up his race on motorsport.tv into the huge Jumbotron so everyone, while practicing, could watch it. And I saw all the competitors, among them, like half of them busted out their phones and just started recording the big screen because they understood like the importance of the event. And then and Igor won his final race. Sorry, spoilers. But he was not leading the championship, I think, at any point until that last race. Maybe he was earlier, but he had a fight on his hands. And his the outburst of emotions from him and his dad and Roberto Moreno, who I think is his mentor, was a beautiful thing to see and really kind of galvanized the emotions of all of us there. To see someone who was directly involved with Gran Turismo and a previous champion of Gran Turismo to see them succeed in such a way that it's like, that this guy's going to be looked at by the tippy top of motorsports during this year. Now that he's on the International Formula 3 following the Formula 1 circus, is extremely exciting. And, I try not to live too vicariously through others, but this is one of those exceptions where I'm going to have to live vicariously through Igor, so keep up the good work.
Dude, we all are. Yeah, I mean, all of us that have been to any of the events that have gotten to meet him, he is such an amazingly nice young gentleman. He's a role model in a lot of ways, and we love that guy so much. And seeing him succeed and how much it meant to him in Toyota Racing Series, oh man, clinching that championship is the best thing that could have happened. And the timing of it is so perfect. And, he's got a ton of momentum now, and watch out for him in FIA Formula 3. That's not a regional Formula 3. That's F3 straight up.
Yep.
He's racing the same weekends as F1.
He's only two steps on the ladder down from the big times.
Yeah, dude. And F3 this year, please, people, if you have any interest in racing, even if like you're kind of just pretending to be into racing, but you just play the games, watch F3 this year. You're not going to be disappointed. There's so much insane talent in that lineup this year. Formula 2 is very missable. There's a lot of people that have been there for a long time, or those that just will not get to F1, or those that are really just, pay drivers that are just waiting for their chance to pay their way in F1. But F3, so many up-and-coming talents that are so good, and even if you're, there's two Americans on the grid too. There's Logan Sargent, and I forget the other guy, but Logan Sargent, what a name! I've been tracking him since the karting days, and yeah, he has a lot of hope, potential, and such too. But Igor, man, he has such an amazing. He's going to be on an amazingly huge stage, so we're all going to be backing him, and
totally.
We all hope the best for him and his family. So
absolutely, I agree with everything you said. We wish him very well.
Yeah, man. But anything else that you'd like to add before we zip this one up?
Zip it up and zip it out.
Zippity doo dah.
Zippity doo dah. Bye bye. Maybe a couple things. Try to be kind to your fellow man and woman and animal and plant and And Spider Bro, you got to look out for Spider Bros.
Spider Bros.
The wife is shaking the head, but just share an extra thought before you go squish if you can help it.
Yeah.
Because we're all just trying to survive, in this crazy world. And
we are.
There's a big day coming up tomorrow, March 3rd, for I think it's like 12 or 17 constituent U.S. states. Super Tuesday is called. I don't care who you vote for. I really don't. Just vote. Just vote so that we get a turnout. So we know how the American people actually feel about things, and what the results are going to be, what they're going to be. But don't let apathy win, I guess, is probably my chief message. I have not always been the most present voter, but I feel it's a responsibility that we should behold to ourselves. So that's what I got to say. That and gosh, I missed you, Eddie. I think about you a lot, and I want to stroke your hair, and
me too. I
want to hold your hands and go bowling together, with the same bowling ball. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll figure out a way. And then, we'll have a banana split or two. And then, we'll trade shirts or something. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, we'll trade GT jerseys. Hell yeah.
I'm wearing one right now, actually.
Oh, dude. Can't wait to smell it. All right. Cheers.
Cheers to you, my friend. This has been a joy. And thank you for everything. Thank you to all the listeners. And, creative feedback is welcome. Anything you got to say, we will be watching and reading, and we're gonna try to come back to you a little bit quicker next time. Maybe midway through the start of the official season, before the Nürburgring, we'll have kind of like a pre-Derby derby of sorts.
Yeah, no, slide into our DMs and we will talk. But it's been a great 1 hour that I've spent with my Gran Turismo Tristan. I look forward to the next one. Everyone out there, be safe. Play the game. Play it. Do FIA. And love each other. Good night.
Good night, guys. And gals. And Spider Bros.